At the entry level of the IMF, you think you're learning economics. You're really learning which kind of intelligence survives a room where one sentence can affect a country's borrowing costs. The fastest rise here does not begin with brilliance alone. It begins with being trusted near consequence. Most outsiders imagine the IMF as a glamorous control tower for the world economy. Your first days feel smaller than that. Badge scans, fluorescent lights, a borrowed desk. You enter as a junior economist or research officer. And your job is to make senior people look prepared before dawn. The work starts in fragments, cleaning country data, checking balance of payments tables, rebuilding somebody else's model because a single assumption shifted overnight. You stay quiet, because at this level, the institution measures your value through accuracy, speed, and whether your mistakes force another person to lose sleep.
Soon you learn the difference between academic economics and IMF economics.
In school, elegant theory gets applause. Here, a messy, defensible estimate delivered on time matters more. Ministers do not wait for your perfect regression. Markets move while you are still formatting an appendix. By the time you become an economist, your desk gets larger, and your accountability becomes real. You draft sections of Article 4 consultations, country surveillance notes, and briefing papers for missions. Your name may appear somewhere deep inside the document chain, but the language must already sound senior, careful, and politically survivable. Then comes travel. Country missions sound prestigious from a distance. The reality is hotel conference rooms, jet lag, heavily negotiated meetings, and a constant awareness that every statistic has a domestic enemy. You sit behind experienced staff and watch how they ask hard questions without detonating the room. As a more established economist,
You stop being the person who only runs numbers. You begin carrying a policy line. Maybe it is subsidy reform, maybe fiscal consolidation, maybe banking cleanup after a shock. Now you have to defend assumptions in front of central bank officials who know their country better than you ever will. That is where many talented people stall. They can model beautifully, but they freeze under pressure or become rigid. The IMF rewards a different mix.
emotional restraint, diplomatic hearing, and the ability to revise your view without looking weak. Promotion starts to depend on your behavior in contested rooms. Senior economist is the first rank where others start reading your face before they read your paper. Junior staff look to you for direction. Mission chiefs want confidence without drama. You supervise analysis, assign work, clean up drafts, and absorb friction from below and above while pretending the process is stable. Hours stretch. During crises, they become shapeless. Currency pressure in one country, debt sustainability fears in another, political transition somewhere else. Your inbox turns into a rolling emergency feed. Senior economists learn to write when exhausted, brief when uncertain, and sleep with one eye on the phone. Then the ladder forks. Some become respected technical specialists in fiscal affairs, monetary policy, financial stability, or statistics. Others move toward management. The institution watches your choice closely. Expertise wins admiration. Leadership wins reach. The people who keep rising usually learn how to protect both. Deputy division chief feels like a promotion into adulthood. You are still inside the machinery, but now you manage slices of it: staff allocation, review cycles, mission logistics, quality control. You stop owning every sentence. Instead, you own whether the team can produce under pressure without breaking apart. This is where politics gets less theoretical. Departments compete quietly for influence, visibility, and access to top leadership. Regional expertise matters. So do relationships built over years of missions and crisis work. You notice who gets pulled into sensitive assignments and who remains excellent but invisible. Division chief is where the room changes temperature. You are now responsible for a body of work that can shape how the fund sees multiple countries or entire policy domains. Meetings multiply. Personnel issues arrive daily. You still care about substance, but your calendar now acts like a border guard. You spend surprising amounts of time translating. Economists speak in caveats. Politicians hear threat. Executives want clarity in 3 sentences. Country authorities want respect. Your job becomes turning technical judgment into language that can travel upward, outward, and across cultures without blowing up. Mission chief can overlap with these ranks, and for many outsiders, this is where IMF authority becomes visible. You lead delegations into finance ministries and central banks. Cameras may appear, headlines may follow, yet the glamorous image hides brutal compression. Every meeting contains strategy, restraint, and live calculation. When a country faces a financing gap, a mission chief enters carrying numbers that can shape taxes, subsidies, pensions, reserves, and public anger. You speak carefully because one careless phrase can spook investors or inflame domestic politics. At this level, your tone becomes part of the policy instrument. Assistant director lifts you out of one team and into institutional stewardship. You oversee broader portfolios, multiple missions, more people, and more reputational exposure. The work gets less tactile, fewer spreadsheets, more judgment calls about priorities, staffing, internal alliances, and which fires deserve the finite attention of senior leadership. By now, the salary is comfortable, the prestige is obvious, and the cost becomes harder to explain to friends. Your work follows you through weekends and flights. Family plans bend around board calendars and crisis calls. The reward is influence. The payment is sustained availability. Deputy director is the rank where you start feeling the institution from above. You no longer see isolated reports. You see pipelines of risk, departmental rivalries, executive expectations, and the invisible labor required to keep one controversial recommendation from becoming a diplomatic incident. One weak chain can embarrass the whole fund. Director places you near the center of serious internal gravity. You run a department or a major area inside one. Budget battles, hiring choices, board sensitivities, external messaging, and strategic direction all converge on your desk. People beneath you still discuss economics. You spend more time deciding who decides. And then there is the executive board orbit. Even if you are not an executive director representing member countries, your work is shaped by that arena. Powerful shareholders matter. Voting power matters. Geopolitics matters. You must understand that pure analysis enters a room already occupied by national interest. First deputy managing director and the other deputy managing directors operate in a zone where economics, diplomacy, markets, and symbolism fuse. A statement from them can reassure governments, unsettle traders, or redirect internal effort across the institution. They manage upward, downward, and outward at once. Constantly watched, at the top sits the managing director. The title sounds administrative. The reality is closer to global crisis conductor. You speak for the fund, absorb pressure from major governments, calm fear when markets tremble, and carry the burden of decisions that will be judged long after the room empties. So when you picture the IMF ladder, remember what the institution quietly teaches from day one. Rising here means getting closer to problems that never fully belong to you, yet can define your name forever.